Hello and welcome to What Were People Watching Summer of 1989 edition, a series where we look back and rank the summer movie seasons. There's so much to cover here, even stony-faced Harrison Ford can barely contain his excitement.
Must tell you, Harrison, I don't like Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
All right.
I love it.
Okay.
Okay. I just thought I would try to shake you up a little bit. No, I love this movie.
I'm very happy to hear it.
On this episode, a piece of snot becomes sentient.
How did you get here?
Well, you might say I was piped in. Now come on, it's not going to be easy running that gauntlet.
And crooks quickly figure out how to kill Batman. May. So where to start with May of '89? There's Signs of Life, a small independent drama featuring a bunch of actors before they were famous. Or there's Listen to Me, a drama headlined by annoying sitcom star Kirk Cameron, in this film where he debates the merits of getting rid of women's rights.
If you build it, he will come.
But no, let's skip those and go straight to teary drama Field of Dreams, about a farmer who hears voices on his land telling him to build a baseball diamond in order to attract all baseball stars of yesteryear. Believe it or not, it's actually in the US Constitution that if you make a baseball movie, you have to have Kevin Costner in it. So here he appears. Amy Madigan plays the most supportive wife in cinema history. Yes, honey, it's fine. Just cut out all our crops down so we lose our source of income so you can talk to some ghosts. It's a hokey idea, but admittedly it has a sweet ending. On May 12th, there's See No Evil, Hear No Evil, a comedy where Richard Pryor plays a blind man who gets roped in with a deaf man, played by Gene Wilder, in a murder conspiracy plot. It feels like a sketch idea that's been stretched out into a bad movie, and I could just see the pitch meeting for this. He was a blind man. And he was a deaf man, and together they were blind and deaf. Same day you have Return of the Swamp Thing. I genuinely wasn't sure whether this film was supposed to be a comedy. I was trying to figure it out, but there's hardly any jokes in it, and the Swamp Thing is played completely straight like he's a superhero. In this, Heather Locklear stars in it and quickly and unconvincingly falls in love with the Swamp Thing, who looks like something someone blew out of their nose.
She's a brunette from Southern California. And he's not.
Also on May 12th is Earth Girls Are Easy. This comedy is about aliens that crash land and try to assimilate themselves into Earth culture. If you can get past the first few minutes with the ugly visuals of the badly designed aliens at the beginning of the film, then this is actually worth a watch. It features young Jim Carrey and Damon Wayans and Michael McKean and has some good gags in it, but I'll admit it's not for everyone. It's only for people that are partial to a campy cult movie and to a certain weird type of humour that it has. May 19th is Cold Feet, a comedy about a stolen horse and how I got into college, starring Lara Flynn Boyle, which I think the title of which explains the story. Fright Night Part 2 also comes out that day. I wasn't a fan of the first part, but I actually preferred this flop sequel. The visuals are better and it actually gets into the swing of things much quicker than its predecessor.
Buy you guys a drink? Guess not.
But then you have Roadhouse. This cheesy 80s action classic stands the test of time, starring Patrick Swayze, Sam Elliott, and surprisingly Brian Butterfield.
Cold now.
Swayze plays a superstar bouncer who is hired to clean up the clientele of a bar, which leaves him running afoul of a local gangster. It's good old-fashioned, corny action fun. For some reason, the makers of this film decided to give the main character a signature move. Dirty Harry has his Magnum, Rambo has his machine gun, and Patrick Swayze in this has his move where he rips people's throats out.
Roadhouse.
It's mentioned this is something he has done before, which makes me wonder, 1, why is he not in jail for this? And 2, makes him look less like a cool badass and more like a serial killer who should have his own Netflix documentary about him.
We're about to complete a great quest. The Holy Grail, Dr. Jones.
Oh, rats.
This is it. Look.
The shield is the second mark.
On May 24th, you have Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, where Indy has to team up with his father, played by Sean Connery, to find the Holy Grail. I have to admit, this is my favourite of all the Indy films, because I love seeing Connery and Ford together in this. Who's better than play Indy's dad, a character that was based on James Bond, than James Bond himself? It feels like opinion keeps changing on this film. Some people don't like it because it's more jokey than the other installments, but humour has always been in all the Indiana Jones movies. It's just that this one does it better. And Alison Doody plays Elsa, the love interest in this, who knows all about James Bond, as she was in A View to a Kill with Roger Moore, and also appeared in the Pierce Brosnan movie Taffin, which gives me an excuse to play this famous clip from that Irish film.
What goes on in this town is none of your business.
As long as I'm living here, it is.
Then maybe you shouldn't be living here!
Okay.
You call this archaeology?
Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
Finally for me is Pink Cadillac starring Clint Eastwood, which starts off well but ends up becoming a poor man's Midnight Run. It's kind of nice seeing Eastwood playing a more flamboyant character who has more energy and even does a few funny voices. Here he is infiltrating a white supremacist group whilst mimicking Butters from South Park.
Hey Daryl, how are you, pal?
Hey man.
Then what are we gonna do for entertainers? I mean, comedian, things like that.
Mr. Brown presents WrestleMania 3, Pontiac Silverdome, March 29th, featuring Andre the Giant, challenging heavyweight champion Hulk Hogan.
In the late 80s, one business that was booming was professional wrestling, with the WWE selling out arenas worldwide. Wrestlers had made the jump over to movies before, with Roddy Piper ditching WWE to go make the horror classic They Live. So it was only a matter of time before the biggest wrestler of all, Hulk Hogan, headed off to Hollywood himself. However, the head of WWE, Vince McMahon, convinced Hogan that if he really wanted to make a movie, then why not make one with the WWE instead?
We'll make movies.
The result of which is No Holds Barred, in which world-famous wrestler Hulk Hogan plays another world-famous wrestler. He's a goody two-shoes champion called Rip, who, didn't you know, does a lot of work for charity and helping the kids.
The Rip character wants me to tell you that his main outside interest is his charity work.
However, an evil executive wants him to join his evil corporation. When Hogan refuses, he seeks revenge, making him fight in a tournament against Zeus. It's a corny and bizarre movie, but certainly is never dull. It's full of corporate suits so stereotypical, you may as well change all their dialogue to just evil cackling.
What's that smell?
Sadly, this is Hogan's only summer blockbuster. He wasn't the best at picking his projects, and by the 90s he was relegated to TV action movies whilst wearing a ridiculous wig. The mistakes of Hogan's movie career seem to have been avoided by another wrestler turned movie star, Dwayne Johnson, who had much better success years later. For some reason, this film is very hard to find anywhere. It's like the WWE hid it in a vault somewhere alongside Chris Benoit's unreleased exercise workout DVD. Also that weekend is Dead Poets Society, a sweet little drama with Robin Williams playing an inspiring teacher. There's also Vampire's Kiss, that Nick Cage movie everyone has seen memes from, but no one has actually watched for good reason. It's terrible.
It's a horrible, horrible job, sifting through old contract after old contract. I couldn't think of a more horrible job if I wanted to. And you have to do it. You have to, or I'll fire you. Do you understand?
In this packed summer, there was always going to be some box office casualties, and one of them was Star Trek V, The Final Frontier. Previous two Star Trek movies were directed by Leonard Nimoy, and are good installments in the franchise. However, it was now William Shatner's turn to helm a sequel. So how did the Shatman do? Did he shat his pants? The film's story sees the crew of the Enterprise taken over by Spock's brother Sybok.
Sybok also is a son of Sarek.
You mean he's your brother?
Who's a Vulcan renegade with the power of mind manipulation. Either that or he's just a very good cognitive behavioural therapist.
Each of us hides a secret pain. Share yours with me and gain strength from the sharing.
Sybok commandeers the ship to go on a mad mission to visit God in the centre of the galaxy. Weirdly enough, the intro and plot of this film was ripped off years later in the Marvel movie Thor: Love and Thunder decades later, and no one seemed to notice this. Both films are about going to the centre of the galaxy to see a divine being, and both films start with a bald man wandering around the desert. Shatner had big plans for this film, however, he was stifled by the sequel's budget. The usual people that did the Star Trek special effects were busy on other projects this summer, so they had to get some new people in. Sometimes the effects look okay, and sometimes they look really, really cheap. Eventually the crew find God on a planet who turns out to not be what they expected. Aha! Star Trek V was supposed to culminate in a huge set piece where Kirk fought rock monsters, but they didn't have the money to pull it off, so instead Kirk just runs away from the lighting rig equipment. It always bothered me in this one that at the end of the last movie, Star Trek IV, they got a brand new ship that looked like the inside of an iPhone store. Yet a couple of years later, the whole ship is falling apart and looks all grey, like they flew the Enterprise through a muddy forest. This is one of the least popular Star Trek films, but I have to admit I have a soft spot for it. Growing up, this was the one Star Trek film my Trek-loving older brother didn't have in his tape collection. However, he did have the novelization of the film for some reason.
It's just not the same.
So therefore, this has always been an elusive film that I wanted to find, and I built it up in my head as a big deal to watch, but when I did finally watch it, I understood why it's so hated. I'm by no means going to give this an underrated point, but I will say I like some of the interesting ideas that are explored in the film.
Damn it, Bones, you're a doctor. You know that pain and guilt can't be taken away with the wave of a magic wand. They're the things we carry with us, the things that make us who we are. If we lose them, we lose ourselves. I don't want my pain taken away. I need my pain.
I love spending time with these characters, and they still have great chemistry, and some of the jokes do work.
To get us inside and re-raise the shields will take exactly 15.5 seconds. An eternity.
The first half is certainly the better half. It's basically just Die Hard on a spaceship.
Captain Kirk is climbing a mountain. Why is he climbing a mountain? I've thought often since I wrote Yosemite, Captain Kirk, free climbing. I thought often, why did I come up with that idea? And I had no idea.
Great job.
There's a great stretch with hit after hit now. First, Ghostbusters II made all the big bucks in this comedy sequel. The gang in this one goes against the ghost stuck in a painting. I tell you what, the floating head from Ghostbusters II should get together with the floating head in Star Trek V and open up a business together or something. Whilst this isn't as loved as the first one, I enjoyed it when I was younger and remember this traumatizing me as a child, especially a bath time scene where Sigourney Weaver is attacked by ooze that forms the shape of a giant pink penis. I wasn't sure what score to give this. Some people really don't like it, and the ending is certainly the weakest part of it. However, I cannot deny it is very funny in its first half, and I still had a blast rewatching it. So I've compromised, and I've given it an underrated point.
We're the beautiful, we're the only Ghostbusters!
By the way guys, after you finish with the painting, there's a haunted farm full of dead baseball players that needs your attention. Then straight after that, there's the biggest weekend of the summer. Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. 99% of the effects of this still hold up really well, and Rick Moranis feels like the king of the summer, being in 3 big films this season. Then that same day you have Batman, an iconic film that showed superheroes don't have to be all bright and shiny. Tim Burton instead makes it epic and gothic. It feels like a million miles away from the cheap Superman 4 2 years earlier. Nicholson knocks out the park with his Joker performance.
Wait till they get a load of me.
And the film took over pop culture that summer, with Prince even doing the soundtrack and a full-on media blitz that would be copied for years to come by other movies. Keaton is perfect here as Batman, however, his casting was a controversial one. A lot of people look back and are confused by this. After all, this was Mr. Mom. But to be fair, after Mr. Mom, he appeared in a bunch of bad, unmemorable movies. In many ways, Keaton was the Chris Pratt of his era.
What are you?
I'm Batman.
And another big hitter, 4 in a row, is Do the Right Thing. Countless other directors could have made this film and turned it into a stagey, dull drama. However, Spike Lee manages to keep you watching with his energetic camera usage and memorable characters and colours that makes this drama reach the cult status it deserves. That's where the classics end though, because also on June 30th is Twister. No, not the 1996 blockbuster about tornadoes, but a dull independent drama with Crispin Glover in. Then Karate Kid 3 wheezes to the finishing line. They were really scraping the barrel with these Karate Kid sequels. In this one, the bad guys get back at Mr. Miyagi by beating up his bonsai tree.
Hold on, be careful with it, please. Daniel, make a wish.
You know what, sad thing is, that tree was just 2 days away from retirement.
Take a white right hand and a black left hand. And what do you got? You got rock and roll.
Then finally for June, there's Great Balls of Fire, which is actually a decent biopic about the singer Jerry Lee Lewis. The only thing that stops you from recommending it is its subject matter, because the drama doesn't shy away from talking about Jerry Lee Lewis's relationship with his 13-year-old cousin, played here by Winona Ryder.
I ain't nobody, I'm only 13.
Well, you look all woman to Jerry Lee.
It's almost like the film can't decide what to think of this. On the one hand, the movie does make mention that this relationship is weird and everybody does react badly to it. However, on the other hand, Jerry Lee Lewis still seems to get the last laugh in it, and we have to sit through scenes of them having a meet cute and flirting with each other, and there's even a sex scene between the two.
I'm worried about my little girl.
Well, don't. Because she's my little girl now.
Oh, man. Oh, God. Oh, man.
Dennis Quaid gives the music scenes his all. However, he plays Jerry Lee Lewis so broad at times, it's like he's channeling Cletus the slack-jawed yokel from The Simpsons.
Well, I don't understand that. I serve him gladly. It's not my fault I don't play like some old lady.
Hey! I could call my ma while I'm up here. Hey, Ma! Get off the dang roof!
Weekend at Bernie's is one I wasn't sure about marking as a classic. It's not one I hear get brought up a lot nowadays. However, the cast still go to Comic Cons to answer questions about it, so I guess it is well remembered by some. The story is about two friends who find the dead body of their rich boss in his vacation home, but instead of calling the cops, they prop the corpse up so they can keep using his house for parties. There are some laughs all from the one same joke of seeing a dead body being thrown around the place, which isn't enough to make the movie good, but I can't deny it has its fans.
On three. 1, 2, 3!
Lethal Weapon 2 came to cinemas, and in this bombastic sequel, Riggs and Murtaugh go up against a bunch of South Africans, all played by English actors.
Diplomatic community!
This private vendetta of yours could easily compromise Her Majesty's government.
License to Kill was actually the first Bond movie I ever owned. I recorded it off the TV when I was a kid. I didn't really like it, I found it too dark and miserable. However, years later it's become one of my favourite Bonds, the dark and misery appealing to me much more. In many ways it's not really a Bond film, it's more like an expensive Chuck Norris action film, and I mean that in a good way. The villain isn't planning world domination, he just wants to sell some drugs. The stunts in it are amazing to see nowadays, and the score is done by Michael Kamen, which gives it more of a feel of a Die Hard movie. I'm not the only fan of the film either, with Christopher Nolan loving the film so much he copied the plane fishing stunt in this and The Dark Knight Rises years later.
Bring him in! Take the load!
Sadly, this film didn't do as well as they were expecting at the time, and it ended up being the last Bond movie ever to be released in the summer season. Bond films after this would come out more close to Christmas. Dawson never returned to the role. The third Bond film for him was planned, called Property of a Lady, however it was never made. So by the 90s, the owners of the franchise decided to start afresh with Pierce Brosnan, meaning Dawson was kicked out of the role forever by the Irish star.
Then maybe you shouldn't be living here!
A week after that you had another big hitter, When Harry Met Sally. 1989 certainly is going for that championship. Summer of 1986 needs to be worried. UHF also came out that weekend. I've never been a big Weird Al Yankovic fan. I find his humour of just mimicking moments from other people's work not really that funny. However, this comedy where he takes over a TV station has perhaps enough laughs to give it an underrated point.
Hey, Baldy!
There is only one law. His law. Gandhi 2.
Friday the 13th Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan, sees the killer massacre people in the Big Apple. And then there's Turner and Hooch, where Tom Hanks plays a detective who takes in a messy dog who he hopes can identify a killer. Originally this was supposed to be directed by the Fonz himself, Henry Winkler. However, he and Hanks apparently didn't get on, so Winkler ended up being shown the door, and a new director, Roger Spottiswoode, took over. Winkler wasn't the only victim of Tom Hanks. The dog himself ended up biting the bullet on the suggestion of his human co-star, who felt that the dog dying would be better for the story. Finishing off the summer is August, and we start with Parenthood, a sweet and charming Ron Howard comedy about the joys and pains of having kids. Full of a great cast, even future Oscar winner Joaquin Phoenix breaks your heart with this performance as a kid nobody wants to look after.
Well, would it be okay if I stay with you for a while? A few months? Okay.
Stallone's annual summer cameo comes in the shape of Lock Up, an average prison drama, but Stallone actually gives a better than usual performance in this.
Director James Cameron thrilled audiences with his vision of the future, The Terminator. In 1986, he created the science fiction masterpiece, Aliens. This summer, he will take you into a world no man has ever seen before.
Then on August 9th there's The Abyss. This sci-fi tale is about a bunch of divers searching a submarine only to encounter aliens underwater. I'm not going to give this any points because it's a bit of a slog to get through its runtime, so I can't say it's really underrated. But it's also not really considered a classic either, unless you're a die-hard James Cameron fan. Being a Cameron flick, of course, everybody was really chilled out and mellow and had a lovely time making it. I'm just kidding. They filmed it in water tanks, and Cameron's perfectionism led to actors storming out on set.
There was a lot of tension on the set, but you know, that's natural for that type of scene, and I think that energy is in the scene. You see it.
I'll never forget this one take. We're doing it, and everything is just going incredibly well, and we can feel it. And we hear Mikhail Salmon say, "Out of film." The camera ran out on this take.
And she heard that and she just like freaked. She just said, "Hey man, we are not animals. I don't know what you're doing here, but we are not animals."
There's a very hard to watch scene of a rat that gets drowned on camera. The rat didn't die, but what's sad is picturing James Cameron yelling at the rat, "No, you didn't look drowny enough. Do it again another 100 times." The effects in it were groundbreaking at the time, and I like its positive message, but it's sad to know the cast were put through the rigours and torturous hours of working underwater for what is ultimately a pretty average sci-fi flick. The theatrical version was cut down quite a bit, and there was an extended version released a few years later which had more incredible special effects in it, and a whole sequence in which a tidal wave loiters suspiciously around the coastline of America.
Bon appetit, bitch!
A couple of days later is Nightmare on Elm Street 5, which has some arresting visuals in it, but they aren't quite as well executed as the ones in the previous installment. Rude Awakening is an unfunny stoner hippie comedy.
Where do you live?
City.
Do you have a house?
Apartment.
Own or rent?
Rent.
What do you do for a living?
Lots of things.
Where's your office?
I don't have one.
How come?
I don't need one.
Where's your wife?
Don't have one.
How come?
It's a long story.
Do you have kids?
No, I don't.
How come?
It's an even longer story.
Are you my dad's brother?
I'm your dad's brother, all right.
But a much better comedy is Uncle Buck. John Candy plays a schlubby gambler who takes care of his brother's kids. And because it's a John Hughes movie, of course, the family live in a rich Chicago mansion. Candy is incredibly charming and his interactions with the kids are nicely played out, with him talking to the younger kids like they're his equals, whilst torturing his teenage niece's boyfriend. Blood Red is a western with Dennis Hopper doing a bad Irish accent in it.
Put a bounty on the man. Do whatever you've got to do. But get him before this gets any further out of hand.
Let It Ride is a Richard Dreyfuss comedy about gambling that doesn't really work. And Brian De Palma becomes the latest who tries his hand at releasing a Vietnam film, Casualties of War. It's a heavy watch, but well made. It also feels like it's repeating beats already done more memorably in other Vietnam War films.
This is a gun. This is for fighting. This is for fun.
This is my rifle, this is my gun. This is for fighting, this is for fun.
Sex, Lies and Videotape is a dirty, dirty little film about a man who records girls talking about sex, starring James Spader. I don't know what it is about Spader and why he's always appearing in weird sex films throughout his career. It's weird to think that this guy went on to voice Ultron in the Avengers film.
So describe for me your first sexual experience.
It's a little slow to start, but it does build to a beautiful crescendo, and there's no denying its importance in bringing independent cinema forward at the time. The use of its score and the atmosphere it gets at the end give it a different flavour to a lot of the movies that came out at the same time. The final weekend of August sees Little Monsters released, a kids movie with Harry Mandel playing an annoying creature who lives under Fred Savage's bed.
What are you working for the Russians?
If he doesn't get some answers.
The Package is a thriller directed by Andrew Davis. I was on the border on whether to give this an underrated mark or not. It has two great leads in it, Gene Hackman and Tommy Lee Jones, and has that plot that was done a lot around this time of someone trying to stop an assassination of a politician who is trying for world peace. Wired is a distasteful biopic of John Belushi's last days that's a mess, jumping around his life with no rhyme or reason.
He is a man of God.
What should I do? What God wants.
Then finally there's Romero, which is every Catholic mother's favourite thriller. This tells the story of a real priest in El Salvador who fought for justice and for human rights for the working people of that country. This was something my Catholic mother tried to get me to watch when I was a kid, thinking I would be into a cheaply made drama where a bunch of people sit in rooms and mildly disagree with each other. And the priest saves the day by the end by, yes, that's right, saying Mass.
Let us begin a celebration of the Mass now. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, amen.
That's the idea. It's the best we've had, Ted. Another mass. That's our best idea.
Look, it's working. They're leaving out of boredom. To be fair, if someone started saying Mass in front of me, I'd probably leave as well. Whew, Saved by the Bell. It's a shame because it stars Raul Julia, who's one of those great actors from this period who died way too young, and he deserved better movies than this. So that was the summer of 1989. So how did it compare to the other summers, and did it beat current champion of summers 1986? 86 has a score of 25 points, 89 has a score of 31 points, so it is the new champion of the summer. I mean, was there any doubt? I mean, look at that picture. Look at how many hits there were. I guess you could say I didn't like the summer of 1989. I love it!
Captain Kirk is climbing a mountain. Why is he climbing a mountain? Captain Kirk is climbing a mountain. Why is he climbing a mountain? Captain Kirk is climbing a mountain. Why is he climbing a mountain? Captain Kirk is climbing a mountain. Why is he climbing a mountain? To hug the mountain, to envelop that mountain, hug the mountain, to envelop that mountain.